Hi, my name is Micah Roraff, and this is Life of Worship. I thank you for joining me as we just go through and dive into what a life before our God looks like. Over the past couple weeks and for the next few weeks, I'm going to be talking about who our God is, this one that we worship, this one that our lives are surrendered before. And this week, I'm going to be talking about God and his name, El Roi. I think one of the main problems people have with God is they think he doesn't care or that he is too busy for them. Even if we know that this is false, and we know it in our head, and we've heard it that he cares for us, that he loves us, that he has a plan for us, even if we know all these things, we can slip into this deception that God doesn't care if a prayer goes unanswered or something terrible or incredibly traumatic happens to us. We may know God is all around us because he's omnipresent, but does he actually see little old me? Do I have enough worth for the all-powerful Elohim, creator God, who holds the whole universe together with only his powerful will? Does he even care that I exist? I would like to say he not only cares, but he has made you to be an important, integral part of his eternal plan. There is a story in Genesis about Hagar. Hagar was a servant girl of the patriarch Abraham and his wife Sarah, who at the time of the story were Abram and Sarai. Abraham and Sarai had tried for years to have a son. They couldn't, so Sarai gave Abraham her servant girl, Hagar, so Abraham's lineage could continue. Hagar then became pregnant. After she became pregnant, she started treating Sarai badly. You know, she was probably feeling like, well, looks like I'm going to be carrying on the lineage and you're not, and started rubbing it in Sarai's face. Sarai, this obviously caused a rift between them, and so Sarai went to Abram and complained about it and said, and Abraham came back to her and said, you know, just do whatever you want. She's your servant girl, whatever. So then Sarai, in turn, was harsh to Hagar, so much so that Hagar fled. After Hagar fled, God met with her, and he spoke kindly to her. And God gave her a promised blessing for the child in her womb. And because God answered her and saw her, she makes this declaration in Genesis 16:13. She says, you are a God of seeing. For she said, truly here I have seen him who looks after me. And this is translated as he is El Roi, the God who sees. Hagar received the revelation that God saw her, and this is where we get that name El Roi, the God who sees. El is Elohim shortened, meaning almighty. Added to Roi, El Roi is the almighty, supreme creator God over all, who sees each of us and cares for us more than we could ever imagine. El Roi saw her, and he sees you. And even in this lifetime, if you don't feel seen by the people around you, you can rest assured as you walk with him, he sees you, and he is your great reward. Whatever you do, do it for the glory of God. Do it for his glory because he sees you. And don't do it for anybody else, because if you do it for anybody else, you'll ultimately be let down. He sees you. Do it for him, and let your faith rise up, because you know that as he sees you, Hebrews 11:6 said that he rewards those who diligently seek him. And so having that faith that he knows that he sees us is so important, because then it encourages us to live for him. It encourages us to keep our eyes fixed on him and to block out all the other things that are going on around us. He is a rewarder for those who put their trust in him. And to fully understand who our God is, and to fully understand who our God is who sees us, we have to understand how he sees us. He sees our whole lives. He sees everything. He knows everything. Jeremiah 29:11 says, and this is probably one of the more popular verses in the Bible, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you. It doesn't say, I'm going to take a guess at what the plans I have for you are. Or, you know what, I'm going to roll the dice and hopefully what comes up, this is what's going to happen. No, it says, for I know the plans that I have for you. I know them, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a hope in a future. When Hagar was in that point, you know, where she's in the desert or wherever, and she just got chased out by her mistress, Sarai, I mean, she probably felt like, okay, this is evil. This is happening to me. This isn't working out. And even later on in Genesis, once Abraham and Sarah have Isaac, there's just some dissension that's there. And so Abraham has to send Hagar and Ishmael, who is Hagar's son. He has to send them away. And so even then, she's like, oh boy, because Ishmael's about to die. And she's like, God, is this actually going to work out? And God sees her, and he speaks that truth over her again, that promise. And so even in those moments where we're feeling like, well, God doesn't see me and all is lost, he knows the plans that he has for you. He knows those plans, and he sees you. He sees everything. And so to fully understand who our God is, we have to understand that he sees everything, that he knows everything. He sees all of our days. They are before him. All of your days, the good, the bad, he is working out his plan for you. And like Hagar, when all seemed lost, God knew the end of the story. And God knows your story. He knows all of it. I know it seems hard to believe, but let me read Psalm 139:16. It says, your eyes saw my unformed substance. Just let that sink in for a moment. While we were in the womb, even before we were in the womb, our unformed substance, in your book were written every one of the days that were formed for me. Just let that blow your mind. El Roi, the God who sees, he sees everything. He knows everything. And so let your faith rise up as you know that your God sees you, that our God sees us, and that he is working his plan out, that he is doing it. So move forward in faith, trusting El Roi, our God who sees you. I just thank you for joining me, and I pray that the Lord blesses your week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.